Hi everybody, hope you're all safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting the bell icon so you're made aware of any time we put new content on. Today's guest now, remember when we used to go to live football? I remember that time. Well, so if you went to the club shop or in the fan zones, you would hear Andy and obviously we've had Simon on before and Dave. The three of them will be busting out the tunes in the club shop and the Heineken bar and stuff like that. So yeah, we're trying to get back some of that sort of match day experience. So as I said, we've had Simon on. Now we've got Andy. We'll get Dave on eventually, but we've got Andi Bridges today. How are you, Andy? How's things with you, mate?
I'm good, Russ. Thank you very much for asking. Thanks for having me on as well. I'm very well, thanks.
Yeah, how are you coping in this new world that we live in?
I'm finding it tough, to be honest with you. I mean, just not even going to football, not playing the tunes. I'm finding that really tough. And it's just not the same watching it on TV. And then when you are watching it on TV, there's no crowd there and there's no atmosphere. It's very weird. Do
you have the crowd noise on or off when you're watching the telly?
It depends what channel I end up on, to be honest with you. I don't go specifically looking for crowd noise, but if it's there, it's there. I mean, I would love to have that job, the one that pushes the button, especially the one where they shoot and it just misses and they go, ooh, ooh.
Well, that's the thing, and it's not. Who was I talking to a while ago? We talked to someone who worked for Sky, and I thought it was a poor little sap with a soundboard, but it's not. It's all done through AI, and it's all done through. It's incredible, but no one knows how this happens. But it's done through the Opta index scores, and so if a home team's on the advantage, and the crowd noise will increase, and it's that sophisticated. And although it couldn't figure out when a team was dominating and then there was a breakaway own goal, that's the only sort of nuance. It couldn't. The computer said no. He just couldn't understand how that would happen. Although I thought it was funny at Norwich when we played Norwich, and Norwich the robots booed them off the park at half time. I thought that's really harsh. You know that old Farker was right up it when the robot when C-3PO and R2D2 turn on you. But it is what it is, isn't it? I just think it adds to something. I mean, even when because obviously I'm still at the ground now because obviously they still need the music in the ground. So it's weird. It's very, very weird. And so I have to always put on some sort of one of the YouTube watch-alongs or something just to have some sort of something in the background because it is really quiet. It is like horrible. But I get a good car park. I get a car park space, so so it's not too bad. But no, I can't wait till everyone comes back, and obviously for you guys, getting back and just doing the whole sort of match day experience and playing all the music, and everyone loves it, and I know Simon loves it as well. It must be nice doing that because as a fan, sort of contributing to sort of the fan experience. You must enjoy doing that.
Oh, immensely. I mean, I fell into it really quite by accident. Just knowing Dave, who knew Simon, and I'd started. Dave and myself had spun a few tunes at various places. I'm going to name drop here. We spun a few tunes at a Grilla gig at Glastonbury.
Oh, a few places. Just the biggest. Yes. Nicely done there, Andy. Carry on. Carry on. That's two name drops.
Simon was on holiday and he couldn't do the game, and he said to Dave, "Do you fancy filling in for me?" And Dave said to me, "Do you fancy coming along and helping me out?" I was like, "Yes." And that's how we ended up. And of course, Simon came back from holiday and got the job again in the club shop. And then about 3 weeks later, they said to him, "We want you to do a Heineken bar." And he said, "Well, I can't be in two places at once." And they went, "Oh, well, just get somebody else in." So Simon just went, "It's over to you two." And we went, "Yes, thank you."
It's brilliant, isn't it? I'm the same. Literally, I fell into it, and I've been there 20 years now. It's brilliant. But it's nice, isn't it, being a fan and sort of feel like you're really part of it. And obviously, with the stuff at the Heineken bar and the club shop, you get like Carlton will turn up and have a bit of a boogie, sort of backstage, and obviously when they do, I know when Simon used to do the club shop and they had Dev and people doing the signings, and it's great. It's just nice because you feel like you're part of the club, really, isn't it? That's how I feel. And I love it. It's really, really nice, particularly for a West Ham fan. It's brilliant. It's nice for the fans to know that it's a West Ham fan doing it as well. Do you know what I mean? It's not like just a generic person's playing music, you know. And it's
I mean, the closest we got to that was Clive Best did a signing in the shop. So we rushed down and got the book signed, and Dave said to him, who do you like? Who do you like musically? He said, I really love Frank Sinatra. So he rushed back upstairs and put some Frank Sinatra on for him.
Yeah, that's it. And funny enough, I remember this is revealing the fourth wall. But when Pardew was in charge, he would bring me and Jeremy at the time into the manager's office, and sort of ask. Literally, he was so controlling in terms of the atmosphere. He wanted to know what music we were playing, like pre-match. And he always, every week, was like, "You got to put a bit of Sinatra on." I was like, "Really, really, Alan? You know, really? You know, bit of, you know, I don't know, New York. When we're playing Fulham, you know, is he going to really cheer the crowd up? How is he going to?" And so much so that I remember he went to, I think it was the Rat Pack live at the show at the Savoy Theatre, and he got backstage and he actually brought in the Dean Martin impersonator to the ground for, like, we were playing someone like Fulham or something like that, and he got him to do a couple of songs, and the poor bugger couldn't remember the words to Bubbles, so he's going halfway through sort of riffing Bubbles, you know, I'm here blowing bubbles. You know, I used to love that. He used to come with the craziest ideas. He'd go to like Florida and come back, and he was like, I saw SeaWorld. He was like going to the sea, and how they got players and they got sort of the people going to the actual Shamu shows, and they were asking them questions, and the camera was zooming in, and they were giving their answers with their fingers. We were like, no, could you imagine zooming in? What's the answer? Answer 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah. 1 or 2. Yeah. Or brackets.
I loved it. But that's all fun. And obviously, you know, as we said, you were a West Ham fan, and that's what's brilliant. And so, why are you a West Ham fan, Andy? What's your story? Why are you a West Ham fan?
Oh man, I grew up in Green Street.
Oh wow.
My grandparents lived in Halley Road, and we lived in on the corner of Halley Road and Green Street in a flat above a shop. So I just don't ever remember not supporting West Ham.
Yeah.
They were always kind of there. It was always there.
Yeah. Do you remember your first game at Upton Park?
Oh man, yes. It was February. Herein lies the tale. It was a Monday night. I was 6. It was 1970. It was February the 13th, 1970. West Ham played Coventry, and Coventry wore their green and black stripes.
Yep.
We lost 2-1, and I could never remember why I'd gone on a Monday night. It seemed really weird that, like, I was 6, I had school the next day, and yet my mum was a cleaner, and she worked for a butcher called Jack Bush, who lived in Chadwell Heath, and he had a son, Martin, who was older than me, I suppose about 10 years. They were West Ham fans, so the influence was from there. And it was actually Jack and Martin I went with to my first game. So we went on a Monday night, and I had school the next day, and I could never work it out why. And I looked through all the record books, and I couldn't find this game on a Monday night. And I was like, what the hell happened? And you remember as you walked up to Upton Park from the Romford Road end to the Barking Road end, there was a cafe about 100 yards away from the ground. It was orange. And in that front garden, there was a programme seller. Most match games. And I went up to him one day and I said, it's going to seem like a really strange question. I've never been able to find a programme for this game on a Monday night. And he said, oh, yeah. He said, I know exactly what that is. He said it was supposed to be played on a Saturday. It was called off because the pitch was flooded, but they played it on a Monday night. But they didn't reprint the programme because it was only 2 days. They used the same programme for the Saturday.
I love it. That's so like West Ham, isn't it? It's so West Ham. Nah, it's all right. No difference.
So I said to him, I don't suppose you've got one. He went, I've got one right here, and it's in the back room there in a glass cupboard. Fantastic.
It's so West Ham. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's not like we're going to talk about it 50 years later. What? You know? And then you're hooked in it, and I've been funny, you know. And although it's a school night, it's not like you got far to go home, Andy, have you, from the game? So you're home in 10 minutes. That's not too bad. No. And obviously, once that's it, you're hooked. Once you're in,
Yeah,
You just can't get out.
No, indeed, no.
And obviously doing the stuff with the London Stadium, when obviously we had fans in, must have been fun because obviously fans are coming up to you and interacting with them, and coming up and talk about the music. It's just nice, isn't it? It signifies the whole West Ham family feel, really, doesn't it? I can imagine for you particularly.
It's the amazing amount of overseas supporters that just want a photograph.
Yeah,
just with the DJ, really? Okay, if you really want, and we put the headphones on, make yourself look like the DJ, and they're like, "Oh yeah, thank you, man."
Oh, it's brilliant. Honestly, that is the one thing I love about doing this channel is talking to the overseas players, overseas fans rather. Obviously, I love talking to all fans, but the overseas ones just have this extra bit of fanaticism. I think it's almost where, I live in Hornchurch, at the moment, so I'm 25 minutes away from the ground. You almost take it for granted, really, or you did until recent events. People took it for granted, where some people, obviously the Scandinavian Hammers, or I've had people from the West Coast, the East Coast, India, they may come over once a year, maybe once every 2 years. And so that, they cherish every second of it. And, it's wonderful. Honestly, some of us we interviewed the other day, interviewed one of the guys from the Fresno Irons who are absolutely nutters, so much so that they would go to so if they were playing it was West Ham Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, they would go to the Chelsea bar in Fresno, so they'd play away. And so honestly, I was sat there absolutely I was laughing. And they get all the kids, and they get all the bubble machines, and they get all the colouring in, so the kids can do all the colouring in while the dads, because it's like 4:30 in the morning for 12 o'clock kickoff. I wouldn't get up at 4:30 to watch West Ham. I wouldn't. So it's like, just catch the highlights, or just catch the alternative commentary from West Ham clips. That's what I would do. But no, I love it, man. It's the Indian guys, Indian Hammers, phenomenal. I've got a guy from Hong Kong coming up soon, and Australia, and you forget. You can obviously appreciate it because obviously you're sort of doing the match day and seeing all the fans, and they're coming up to you. How global our fan base is. I never really assumed it was so global until I started doing this channel. Same with you, probably, with the DJ stuff. Oh,
we were sat next to a couple from France, and they'd only come to West Ham because Payet had gone to them, and they wanted to come and see the club he played for before he went to them.
Brilliant. Oh, I love it. Well, I suppose it's like now with we've got this random this sort of random affiliation with Sparta, with Sparta Prague now, obviously with Souček and obviously Soufal and Mr. Repka as well. So we're going to get hopefully a few more Sparta Prague fans coming over and sort of keep, and vice versa, because it's like they're Champions League, they were Champions League and stuff. So no, it's all good fun. I love it. It's just
on some of the Facebook West Ham Facebook pages now, we've got like 40 million Algerians supporting us all of a sudden because we signed that bloke from Brentford.
Yeah, well, we had, because we had them when we signed for Gooley, and they all left. It's like when we signed Chicharito, the West Ham marketing team created a Spanish version of the website, and we still have loads of Mexican Hammers because of Chicharito. And despite the fact he very rarely played, he scored when he played, but he very rarely played. And then obviously going to the LA Galaxy. But it's the same with we had Geoff from the Cotley Rejects on a while ago, and he was saying they would be playing in some random bar in Argentina, in some slum town, and it'd be full of West Ham fans, and in the shirts and doing the crossed irons. I love it, honestly. It's so funny. And as I said, we've been social distancing for years. We're used to this because we don't talk to each other. We'll just see someone who's a West Ham top across the road, and we're all like, come on, irons, and that's it. We don't need to shake hands. We don't need to talk. We don't need to hug. We just know they're West Ham fans. So, no, it's brilliant, man. And as you said, from the 70s onwards, that's 50 years of hurt.
Oh, yeah.
For you?
Yeah, oh, yes.
50 years of a lot of thin, not much thick, or vice versa, whatever it is. But you still go, don't you? It's like you're still I think we're quite. Is it a sadist? No, we're not sadist. What's the one where you like pain?
Masochist.
Masochist, that's it. That's saying it's I think we're masochists of pain, aren't we? Really, being a West Ham fan, but it's all right at the moment. We're enjoying a bit of form at the moment.
Yeah. And I do actually think it's the crowd, not necessarily for West Ham, but I think for some of the teams, not having a crowd for them is they don't know what to do. I mean, if you've got our away form, you're not getting any stick from the home fans. So it's like a home game for you, really. So I think that's why we're getting some crazy results in the Premiership.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think also I think you're right. It seems that it seems you can see the teams that are struggling without the fans. So I would say someone like Sheffield United, Burnley, traditionally they've got a very tight ground, and so they're used to the fans being oppressive towards the opposition. They don't have that now, and where there was that issue, people mentioned, in terms of London Stadium, the crowd aren't there either way, so it's like as you said, it's like a same as when we played Leicester. We played at King Power. Leicester's crowd are just nutty, and for us to turn them over and they not get a shot on target, an official shot on target. Obviously, they're the goal disallowed. But yeah, it is. I think that's why we're having so many crazy results. You get Villa turn up and turn over Liverpool, and and it's. But I just think also it's just. I think the defenses are just really shit this year. It does. It just seems to be just more like they've all been playing FIFA. Because it is like, you just see the fullbacks aren't really defenders now. They're just like wingers, and the game is so fast. I mean, you look at Antonio at the moment. Antonio is literally tearing shreds out of every defender, and we wouldn't say that sort of 6 months ago. He was capable of doing that. But yeah, no, it's exciting though, isn't it? It's like every game you don't know what's going to happen, and so I think we've only had 1-0 so far, or 2-0 so far since the Premier League started again. So long may that continue, because we like to be entertained, don't we? It's goals, isn't it? And goals are entertaining. Yeah. And we seem to be scoring a lot, so yeah, it's going all right.
Yeah, it's right. Yeah, I mean, it's weird because Spurs away felt like a win.
Yeah.
But Man City, that felt like a loss.
Yeah. It's so true. And we sort of sat there and it's like, when that Lanzini goal went in and everyone went crazy, and then you're right. Then the West Ham, it's always like West Ham. There's always like we've always got the pessimistic side right next to us. So as soon as like something good's, we know, we're going to probably lose to Burnley now. But it's like, what? Yeah, well done. Come up from 3-0. We shouldn't have been 3-0 down at the same. It's always like it's always tainted with West Ham. I've mentioned it before, but I think supporting West Ham is like learning to play the guitar. So you have to get your fingers all callous, don't you, to be able to push the strings properly. And that's being a West Ham fan. We've been calloused so long that we can play a tune, but we don't enjoy it because it hurts too much after a while.
That's brilliant.
Oh dear, but yeah, and that's why I love it, man. Right, let's talk about your 11, Andy. As I said, everyone we've had on the channel gives their Hammers 11. It's the name of the channel. It's the whole point of it, really. And the idea is you pick your 11. You can use whatever criteria you want. There's no rules. I think Simon put Bobby Moore in goal, for fuck's sake. So so it's like, so you know what I mean. So it's not like it's out there, but it's your 11. So that's what's important. And the only rule is you have to be alive to see them play. Now, fortunately, or unfortunately, or it's up to you how you describe it, you've got quite a nice spread. You're quite experienced as a fan.
Oh yeah.
So you've got quite a good team.
I had a load of people that had to reject.
I can imagine, probably. like crossing them out, throwing, like last minute transfers out of the club. But right, okay, let's start off in goal then, Andy. Who's in goal for the Bridges 11?
Right. Well, I was gonna go really off the wall here because we've had so many good goalkeepers over the years. How do you choose between them? And I went, I know, I'll go Jimmy Walker. But I thought, no, and I looked it up, and he'd only played 13 league games over 5 seasons, and I thought, even though he made that save against Frank Lampard in the Littlewoods Cup, he should go in for that. But I thought, no. So the only time I've ever owned a season ticket was back in the early 80s. And the girl I was seeing at the time was called Jane. And she had a massive crush on Phil Parkes. So I bought her a season ticket and myself one. And we in the chicken run. So in the first half, we used to go and stand in line with, like, between the penalty spot, basically, so she could look at Phil Parks. And like in the chicky run, all the other fans would be down that end watching West Ham attack. So we had acres of space around us.
Stretching out and everything. Brilliant. Oh, I love it, man.
And then you would think in the second half, we'd go and watch Phil Parks. We'd go, no, we stay down this end and watch West Ham score. But of course, all the other fans from that end go, we want to see West Ham score. So the first half, acres of space. Second half, like that.
Oh, I love it.
Did that entire season. First half, acres of space. Second half, no, can't move.
Oh, brilliant.
So
Parksy.
Yeah, so purely for Jane, Phil Parks is going in goal.
Exactly. And Phil Parks, who recently turned 70, bless him.
Yeah,
he did. Yeah. We have read his daughter on the channel and everything. No, he's a great man. And he, as I said, he grew his hair. He grew the mullet back just for his 70th. So God bless him. Right. Are we going to play a 4-4-2? What formation are we playing?
3-5-2.
Oh, okay. I like it. 3-5-2. Right. Let's go for the first of that back three then, Andy.
Okay. You've already mentioned him, actually. Thomas Repka.
Oh.
I just love the fact that he was so hard. I mean, talk about somebody who gave 100% for the cause. I mean, literally, I don't think he would be able to play in these days. He got sent off twice in his first 3 games for us. So and then he played for another 4 or 5 years, and he only got sent off twice more. But he was just so committed in attack. He just looked so hard. I just love the fact that you thought everyone talks about these hard centre forwards. I bet when they thought Repka's marking me, they were like, I'm not as hard as I thought I was.
Yeah. And he's become more of a cult hero since he's retired. Yeah. Because his rap sheet, so to speak, after he left is it's quite impressive. And so no, yeah, and I know we love a nutter, don't we? We love a hard man.
Yeah.
And I think Repka's a great shout. I just think he's for us, he was for me particularly, he was always hard as nails. But the fact that obviously when his last game and we sung him off the pitch and he was crying his eyes out, mate, I don't think he's ever had that sort of affection with a crowd. You know what I mean? Maybe he said never had anyone chant his name. It's like not like the most obvious person to do so. Yeah. No, I think he's great. Yeah. And he appears in quite a few 11s as well. Okay. It's like, which is because of that sort of hard man image. Yeah, people love a hard man, and particularly at West Ham. Since probably the likes of Julian, we haven't really had hard men. It sounds if someone's tuned in at the wrong time, it's not going to make no sense. Tough men, not hard men, tough men. So no, Repka is it, man.
I really think he wouldn't be allowed to play these days.
No, VAR every game, probably 3 times a day. Because he did loads of stuff off the ball, loads of stuff off the ball, and he was a naughty boy. But all right, we'll put Thomas in. Who is next then, Andy?
Okay, in complete contrast to Thomas, Steve Potts.
Oh, I'm liking this team.
I mean, he had no right to be a centre half. He's 5'10" or something. He should never.
I think it's 5'7". I think 5'7", 5'8". Yeah.
But he was so cultured, and it was criminal that he only made 399 league appearances. He weren't brought on in that last game to make 400. Just criminal. But he was so cultured, and I just, what can you say? He was just so cultured on the ball, and he just thought every time he got it, you knew it was in safe hand or safe feet. Yeah,
I know what you mean. And but it's a thing with West Ham, isn't it? I mean, Bonzo 799, and it happened, or 699. But Potsy, and actually we're doing a big thing about him soon. Actually, we're doing like a legend. So we're doing like sort of This Is Your Life, but West Ham type thing. And Potsy's our first player we're doing, because I just think he deserves a lot more credit outside of West Ham than he deserved. He should have, as you said, if he was half a foot taller, he would have been in the England squad or in the USA squad. Technically,
certainly, I mean,
Connecticut.
I did a bit of research, and he's the 5th most FA Cup appearances for West Ham, with 42 FA Cup appearances.
Wow.
And then there's three people above him on 43 FA Cup appearances, and then my next player with the most FA Cup appearances.
Okie doke. Right, go for your next player then. Go on. That's Billy Bonds, Mr. Bonzo.
Oh man. And I know that everyone, I know what a legend Bobby Moore is, and it was so easy to put him in the team. But I try to go for people, no, not in the case of Billy Bonds, that probably don't get the recognition they deserve.
Yeah.
Bonzo was always my hero. Well, my second favourite, actually, because my first favourite you're going to see later on. But I'd like a quid for every time I've sung 6'2", Eyes Are Blue, Billy Bonds is after you. I'd be a very rich man.
Yes. But again, obviously, recently, obviously, with the naming the stand after him and stuff like that. And, it's nice that he's getting the proper recognition that was probably a bit delayed, in terms of, beforehand. I think it went on with the club before, but I just think he is an incredible, and obviously a guy who showed no emotion, was absolutely bawling his eyes out that day. And I think it was just amazing, wasn't it? Such a humble man, such a humble man. And
it's one of those things where when they come back and manage a club, you know that managers are going to get sacked. And no matter how good he is or anything, at some point it's going to tarnish that reputation. But another quick fact that I looked up when I was doing the research for this, he got his first Hammer of the Year in 1971, and his last one in 1987.
That's what I mean. It's just mental, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you can't leave him out.
You can't. He couldn't. And it's like, he was 42. He was, it was his last, he was 42 when he last played. And to be honest, even when he came out for that Newcastle game for the stand-up, unveiling, he still looked probably fitter than a lot of the first team. Do you know what I mean? He just mental. Famously hasn't got a mobile phone.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Famous. Well, I don't know if he still has one now, but he didn't have one because I didn't have one in the last game at the bowling because he didn't come in, did he? He famously turned around because of all the trouble when he's in his family, because he's family first. That's what he's always been about, his family. And I can't remember who it was. I think it was Matt Lorenzo when we interviewed him. His dad would do the interviewing, and he was lucky enough to sort of tag along. And Bonzo would literally he would take a 4-pack from the players' lounge and wouldn't do any interviews and would go straight home to the kids. And that's nice. That's nice. That's what I like. Yeah. But okay, Billy Bonds is in. That is a strong back three and back four with Parksy. Right. Okay. 5 in midfield. Go through the team as you've got it, Andy. Go through that midfield as you've got it, man. Written down.
Sebastien Schemmel.
Oh, there we go. There's a player.
Yeah. I mean, again, we only had him for 2 seasons, but in his first season, he won Hammer of the Year, which I think is everything.
Yeah.
And another thing I noticed when I was picking his team, a lot of them have got long hair.
I wonder why that is, then, Andy.
I have no idea why.
Well, he was good when he had hair, and I think that in the summer he cut it, and he was shit the second season.
He was we sold him.
The Samson of football, wasn't he? He was like, as soon as Delilah cut those locks off, that was it. He was crap. And he was like, I remember he was just so exciting when he joined. We hadn't had a right back, a decent. No, that's disrespect. We hadn't had a modern fullback, a modern right back like that.
I know.
And he was brilliant.
How many assists he got in that season? Because I think at least 4 or 5 that led to goals.
Yeah.
But I just, you don't count at the time because you don't know you're going to do this 30 years later.
Exactly, yeah. But I mean, he's brilliant. And, he still obviously loves the club because he lives in Luxembourg and his bar in Luxembourg is called Upton Park. So yeah, I'm trying to get him on the channel as well because I think it'd be really funny. But Sebastien Schemmel, and he was in my 11 as well because I think he made such an impression of me when I was that young because he was like brilliant, and he was like the first. I reckon he was the first West Ham player to wear a hairband. Someone, Kent Hammers or Kent Irons will probably come up with a comment when we post this. But I think he was probably the first West Ham player to wear a hairband because he wore an Alice band, didn't he?
Yeah.
When he had.
Yeah.
I reckon that yes. All right, come on, Ken, come up with the goods. He'll tell me later on. Right, all right. So Sebastien Schemmel, who is next, Andy?
Surprisingly, another bloke with long hair, Ian Bishop.
Oh man, this is like my dream team. You're bashing out here, Andy. I'm loving it. Let's talk about Bish. Go on, talk about Bish.
9 seasons. Wasn't he captain for most of those?
A lot of them, yeah.
Yeah. And bizarrely, he never won Hammer of the Year. And you just think, wow. But he could spray a ball from anywhere, you know. Give him the ball and he'd put it 40 yards that way onto someone's toe.
Yeah.
Just remarkable player.
It was almost like he was too. It happens a lot of West Ham players. They play for West Ham in the wrong time, in the wrong era, because like nowadays he would be, you know, like a bit like David Silva was, you know, is like that sort of. He was a classy player in a time where football wasn't football wasn't that classy, but you know, he would have been more probably suited to the modern football than he was then. And I know he's brilliant, and he's a top bloke now, and obviously talks to a lot of people on Twitter, and we've had him on the channel, and lovely guy, and you know the stories that they tell. And Bish famously, they used to call him Polo because he always had a pack of polos in his pocket. So when he was training, if the gaffer came up, he'd put a couple in so he didn't stink of booze the night before. And I told him this because I ain't to be mad dog, and he told me to tell him about it. And I said, "You like polo?" And he went, "They were extra strong mints, actually, not polo mints." But you know, but he was such a lad,
Fantastic.
Brilliant guy, and his podcast is really good as well with his sons. It's called 5 Pints In with Bish.
Oh,
it's really good. It's really funny. And yeah. All right, we'll put Bish Bosh in. And because we put Bish in, we'll probably get a like. Ian Bishop will like this video. He'd like this tweet. So there we go. It's all part of the user engagement. Right. Okay. Who is next then, Andy?
Mark Vivian Fowey.
Oh, that's a player. That is a player.
That was I thought the first time I saw him play. I don't think the centre halves actually touched the ball because he stopped everything coming through the middle.
Yeah.
And we'd never had a defensive holding midfield player. We'd never played that system. And then we brought Mark Vivian Fowey, and we changed the system, and he was just immense there, absolutely immense.
He was amazing. He was the first, wasn't he? He was the first of that sort of massive African-based, strong defensive midfield player. You know, he was the blueprint, which would then lead on to Vieira, to lead on to Toure, to lead on to, you know, because they, as you said, no team really had that sort of really. He was domineering, wasn't he? And obviously, famously, he signed the same day as Di Canio as well, so they became very close. And obviously, everyone sees that sort of Trevor Sinclair pass for Paolo to score, but what they don't see is Fowey winning the ball in a tackle and delivering arguably a better pass to Trevor Sinclair. That was in my opinion, but he was brilliant. Fowey was fantastic, God rest his soul. And and again, I think he was, I believe, and again, I might be wrong, I believe he was the first African international to play for us. Not the first African, but the first African international to play for us. We've had a lot since, I think we've had 30 now since we've signed everyone. But and again, Kent Irons, my unofficial fact checker, will tell me if I'm wrong. But yeah. He heralded a new era for sort of those at that time. I mean, we've had obviously Chet Kiyute, we've had, you know, all these sort of Alex Song, you know, these sort of domineering midfield players from Africa, and it just made some. And obviously, I mean, Big Sam, whole team, Abdoulaye Faye, Mo Diame, you know, Papa Boupa Diop, you know, all these sort of big defending players, and it was. He was the starting point. Okay, we'll put Vivian Fowey in. Who is next then, Andy?
There's only 2 players I could tell that won Hammer of the Year 3 seasons on the trot. The first one's Sir Trev. The second one's Scott Parker.
Scott Parker.
He almost single-handedly kept us up 2 seasons running. And then on that 3rd season, he just couldn't do it. And because he'd just broken into the England team, we flogged him to the spuds.
Yeah. And it's one of those things which really winds me up. And every time, and I get really wound up with Scott Parker, with people with Scott Parker haters because of that. Because as you said, he kept us up for 2 years, and he almost kept us up for that 3rd year. You know, and obviously, you know, we had that great comeback from Spurs the other week. The last time we did it was West Brom away, and we had that famous 4-1 win. 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 And we had that famous 4-1 speech, apparently halftime speech from Parker, which Colton Cole had tears in his eyes, he said, listening to it. And he was brilliant. He was brilliant for us. And I just think it's a terrible shame that people tarnish his reputation at West Ham because he went to Tottenham. And as you said, he was the England squad. He was his kids. He wanted to keep his kids in school and obviously not take pay cuts and things like that. And he carried on playing for us. You know, I think he played the day before he went to Tottenham. I think he scored at his Watford away or something like that. And I've got a massive bee in my bonnet about Scott Parker haters because also. You know, because these people forget. They forget things. They forget, Martin Peters when he went to Tottenham. Yeah. They forget Bobby Moore was going to put in a transfer request, and go to Tottenham. Anyway, calm down, Russ. Decompress. Right, Scott Parker's in. Who is the fifth member of this midfield?
Again, you've mentioned him already, Trevor Sinclair.
Oh, sorry. Oh, God, dear. Do you know what? I did that the other day, and literally, the poor guy I was interviewing, literally every person, I mentioned the one before, and he's like, "Oh, I just won't bother, Rush. You can just name my 11." Right. Let's talk about Trevor Sinclair. Go on, Andy. You talk to Trevor Sinclair.
Again, a West Ham player, a player who was playing for West Ham at the time he was picked for England. Yeah. Normally, they either come through our youth system, we flog them and they get in the England team, or they're in the England team like Scott Parker was at Newcastle. We bought him and he wanted to remain in the England team. Yeah. But bona fide, Trevor Sinclair actually got in the England team whilst playing for West Ham.
Yeah, and the World Cup, it's like 2002. Yeah. No, and again, very similar to Ian Bishop. He is and he's such a nice. We've had him on the channel as well, and him and Bish are friends of the channel. And because you mentioned Trevor Sinclair, that's the double. So we'll get a like from Trevor Sinclair as well. Oh. Brilliant. God bless him. No, he's great. Honestly, he was. I thought he was. Again, he was in my team. He was in my 11, and I just thought he was exceptional for us. By his own accounts, when we spoke to him. He was saying that, when he was at QPR, he wasn't happy. When he came to West Ham, he didn't think he was going to get in the team at West Ham. And I was thinking, really? He's like, you're fucking Trevor Sinclair, mate. But yeah, he had so much passion for the club, still has lots for the fans. Obviously, he's been quite vocal. And I think the fans really respect that, and Bish as well. They've both been quite vocal, and it was funny because, for those who have been to the ground since lockdown, really, we've put the club have put sort of stickers outside, like old-fashioned stickers of some of the West Ham legends and greats, and I went round and saw there was one of Trev, so I took a picture of it, and one of Bish, and I sent it to both of them to say, hey, congrats! You're on the wrap around the outside, and they were both so honoured to be pictured on the stand, and it was lovely to think of that. A little picture on the stand, on the ground, but they took it to heart, and it just shows you how much they thought of the club and how much how much the fans think of them. And Trevor Sinclair, always tell the story of my granddad, who God rest his soul, but. When he went to West Ham, his eyesight was going. Realistically, he probably shouldn't have driven a car. Really shouldn't have. And many scrapes that my friends and my family would say on the way, that probably sort of said he shouldn't have driven, to be honest. But his eyesight was going. We had really good seats. We used to sit in the Centenary Upper, front row, good seats. His eyesight was going. So pretty much anything good that was done by a West Ham player who was black was Trevor Sinclair. Could have been Shaka. Only bloody player on the pitch they've got. Sinclair, only bloody player on the pitch. And as you said, he resurrected his career. It never happens. A couple of times it's happened with other international players who haven't maybe got into their representative squads of their national team and then come to West Ham and then get put onto another stage like Pyatt and people like that. But he's it's nice to see. And obviously Declan now, he's in the England squad. So he doesn't need to go anywhere because he's in the England squad.
We should make the Centenary Upper because that's what I stewarded for 10 years.
Oh really? Centenary Upper. Yeah, I was front row, Centenary Upper, bang in the middle, and with the first 3 seats to the left or the right of the staircase. And for some reason, I don't know why, I thought it was a really good idea to have a stupid hat. I bought one of these, like it was like a stupid Mad Hatter hat you got outside from which cost like £5, and it had like West Ham in various block lettering in different sizes. And after about 2 weeks, it ended up being like Et Am, but for some reason, I thought it was great, and I thought it was brilliant. And looking at it now, I look like a right idiot. But and I used to always take it off and put it on when they scored, and took it off during the game. It was like, it's such an idiot. But yeah, no, I love the Centenary Upper. That was a good old stand. It was good fun.
Yeah,
because you could look over and see all the fun between the Chicken Run and the Centenary Lower with the away fans. Yeah, and no, it's good fun. 10 years.
Because we used to get moved like every 20 minutes. They'd move us down one stairway. But when you was on the far stairway, so that you were above the away fans and like looking that way across, you're right by the Chicken Run there. They was just, I love that. I love shooting in that spot.
Yeah, because it's just so entertaining, wasn't it? I mean, sometimes, particularly that time, I remember some not dark times, but I remember playing, I think it was Leeds, and we lost 3-0. I don't think we had a shot on target. I think Mike Newell was up front for us. And I remember literally just sitting there the whole game, just watching the away fans and the Chicken Run lot, just having a right giggle, and it was just brilliant. I used to love it. That's the thing I missed. That's the thing I missed. Doing the job I obviously doing the music at West Ham, is that sort of seeing the crowds, because you can't see the crowds or hear the crowds so much. So, but yeah, that was fun. I used to love that. It was great fun. Right, okay, that's the fight. That is a strong midfield, I tell you. Right, let's go up front. We've got 2 up front. Who's your first striker then, Andy?
I'm going off piste here. I've gone Paul Kitson.
That is a great shout. Paul Kitson.
Yeah, arguably the second best strike partnership at West Ham ever, I guess, after Cotty and McAvenny. And I think the fact that he scored 8 goals in 14 games, that kept us up that year.
Yeah. And him and Hartson were just they hit the ground running as a partnership, didn't they? When they joined, which was amazing, absolutely amazing to see. I once saw Paul Kitson, and it sounds like an episode from Alan Partridge, really. I once saw Paul Kitson in a Woolworths buying a bin bag full of pick and mix. It doesn't sound like, it sounds like monkey tennis or camping with Chris Akabusi. But yeah, I saw Paul Kitson buying pick and mix and he played really crap the next day, and I was thinking, too many flumps. But no, yeah, he was great, wasn't he? I just thought he was like a really, really good striker, and definitely underappreciated. Obviously, we've had John on, had Artson on talking about him, and I think he put Paul in his team, and he just spoke about how they just literally, for some partnerships, you just click, and they just clicked, and thankfully they did, because obviously we would have gone down famously that year. But yeah.
Scoring, he scored on his home debut against Spurs, but tick. 2 against Chelsea, 3-2 win, tick. Yeah. 2 against Everton, 2-2 draw, tick. And then a hat-trick against Sheffield Wednesday when we beat them 5-1.
Yeah, but it happens though, does it? It happens really so often that West Ham, like, players make their debut against Tottenham and score. Obviously, Cotty and various others, and Hartson himself. He scored and famously sort of, kissed the badge, and he did say, actually, when he was interviewed, he went, my agent said, big game today, and he knew he was going to score because he saw he was up against Sol Campbell, and he just had Sol in his pocket all the time, he reckons. And he said, I saw this ball come over, and Russ, I can tell you, mate, I was going to go for it, and I know Campbell, we were both going to be in the net, the ball and Sol Campbell. My agent said, if you scored, make sure you kiss the badge, run into, and I did that, and it's like, I felt such a fraud, but actually I meant to do it. It wasn't like I was, it's like he told me, but I was going to probably do it anyway. But Paul Kitson, I love, and I'm really enjoying this 11, I'll be honest. Right, okay, who is the final piece of the Bridges pie?
My absolute hero, Geoff Hurst. The first time I ever saw a famous person, because I lived in Forest Gate, you don't see famous people, but in between Halley Road, where I lived, and Moniger Road, there was a Chinese laundry in the early 70s, and I was about 8, and I was just walking past it, and this green Capri with a black vinyl roof pulled up. Geoff Hurst got out, and I didn't know what. It's my one regret. I didn't say something because he was my hero.
Yeah,
and he was stood in front of me, and I was too nervous to say anything. But the only time I've ever wanted West Ham not to win was when he came back with Stoke, and I was praying for a draw.
yeah.
That
just shows you, doesn't it? It's like how much one player means something to you. I'm the same, not so decorated with my one as Sir Geoff Hurst, the World Cup winner and the only player to score a hat trick in the FA Cup. Mine's Pete Butler. That's my one. That's my one because that was the first footballer I met. And he's my. I don't get starstruck or anything like that, but I got really starstruck with Pete Butler. How is it? It's like he was just the loveliest man, and he still texts me after every game to say, "Oh, good win for the Hammers today," or good well to get a draw. And I was like, "Oh my God, Pete Butler just texts me." But yeah, so Geoff Hurst, he's just what he did, not just for not West Ham, but for England, and it's like I actually once had a wee next to Geoff Hurst, famously. It was me. No, it was Geoff Hurst, me, Sir Clive Woodward. I was like the rose in between two thorns. It was like, it was the most regal piss I've ever had in my life. You know what I mean? It's like, I always forget that.
And I know that I know Simon mentioned it, the hat trick in the World Cup final, but you look at who's played in World Cup finals since. Some of the top world-class strikers that appear in World Cup finals, and they've never got a hat. No one's ever got a hat trick.
No.
But I've looked it up, and apparently Carrie Lloyd did it for the USA in 2015. She's also got a hat trick in the World Cup final for the USA.
Well, there you go. Well, he can still keep that men's World Cup.
Yeah. Men's World Cup.
Men's World Cup. But yeah, that's fair enough. But I think he obviously gets the ground quite a lot, and I just think you're right. It's like. It's funny when you talk about as I said I mean Sir Geoff is just obviously he's the only one of those three left now, isn't he? Bless him. And I hope we sort of cherish that. And it's the same with like the boys who have who won also 67 and the 75 and the 80 were FA Cups. There's not many it's not a huge pot of people they need to cherish and make sure we keep those memories going, because you said with Martin Peters going last year it wasn't it, I think, and obviously Bobby it's he's the last one, and it's of the West Ham three, and it's a shame. But we should be revering him as much as we can, which is why we do his channel, so he can have I'm sure he doesn't need a shout out from my YouTube channel, but it's great that that we can talk about these players and the partnership of Hurst and Kitson. Salivating at the prospect.
And Schemmel pinging in the balls.
On the bowling green of the bowling green of London Stadium, rather. Upton Park won the bowling green, but London Stadium was
cup night under the floodlight.
What is it about West Ham under the lights? I don't know. I don't understand. Everyone always, there is always something special with night games, Upton Park and London Stadium. Obviously, more so Upton Park because we were there longer. But those night games, I don't know why they were so special, and why the teams more likely than not turned up, didn't they? You're thinking if only they could have just done that every Saturday, we would have been all right. We might have won something, apart from a few FA Cups, we could have been somewhere in the leagues. I just don't get it why. But yeah, anyway, we'll leave that on that ponderous note. Andy, man, it's been lovely chatting to you. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate you for coming early as well. And Andy came a bit early for me, so.
It was one of the toughest things I've ever done.
Everyone says that. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, no disrespect, as an experienced fan, Andy, you've got more of a spread than me and some other people. So I'm not surprised. But saying that, I'm being funny. The majority of your team have come from the sort of mid '90s onwards, really, isn't it? Really. So a few, like the Hursties and the Bonzos and Parksley, but everyone else was sort of mid '90s onwards. So. No, I like that. It's a good mix. That's a nice mix. It's not just like staying in the past, but littering it with a few. And there's people like I think Schemmel and Sinclair on the wings. Oh, moonbacks. That'd be brilliant, man. But no, thank you. I really, really appreciate your time, man. And hopefully you'll be back whenever that may be. We do not know, to be playing the tunes back at the London Stadium, and I know that will be a great time to be back. And can't wait. I can't wait to get people back.
It's just wrong watching it without a crowd.
It is wrong, and it is wrong. Yeah, and it's frustrating because there's nothing we can do about it. But it's, as you said, it's like, you see a lot of theatres opening now and things like that.
Yeah.
You would think that's the next natural progression, but obviously it's the biggest, because going from a 300 400 theatre to going to a 60,000 state, that's going to be a huge risk, isn't it? So we'll get
to do it gradually. I think.
Yeah. It will be. But as soon as fans in there, the better. Because I just think, talking to a lot of players, ex-players as well. Some of them may be, famously, obviously, we did that when we played Castilla in 1980, I want to say 87, and famously that was behind closed doors. And speaking to players that are around that time, they were like how strange it was, and obviously talking to players, the modern players, what the effects the crowd have on you. And they go, yeah, sometimes we need that. If you're not feeling great, that 10-20% that the crowd gives you just takes you over the line. And but then we're playing quite well at the moment, isn't it? So it's yin and yang, yeah. But it's not about the football, is it? It's about getting back and seeing all the mates and going for a beer and shooting the breeze at half time and stuff. And if you guys is just watching all the people dancing to all the music and tapping their feet and nodding their head, that's what it's all about, man, isn't it? Yeah. But anyway, so from me and Andy, everyone, take care, everyone. Stay safe. Wash those hands. If you like it, like, share, subscribe, whatever, on YouTube, or if you're watching it on Spotify, Apple podcasty thing. Alexa, play My Hammers 11. That's going to work one day. I can't wait. It's going to work one day with someone. We have to get the listenership somehow, Andy. So there. For me and Andy, take care, everyone. Stay safe. Wash those hands. Come on, you irons, and we'll see you very, very soon. Take care, everyone. Stay safe.